Good evening, everybody. My name is Julio Perez, and I'll be your Pharaoh. I will be your Pharaoh for tonight, and we're going to be covering Follow the Corn, Native People of the Americas, 18,000 BC to 1500 BC. And just like the major civilizations of Afro-Eurasia, Egypt's Old Kingdom, Harappans, and the Sumerians, North American civilizations such as the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Toltecs were major river valley people that existed around the same period. What is now the US Southwest once formed with today's Mexican states of Sonora, Sinaloa, and Chihuahua, the northern periphery of the Axis regime in the Valley of Mexico. Mostly an alpine, arid, and semi-arid region cut with rivers, is a fragile land base with rainfall a scarce commodity of drought endemic. Yet, in the Sonora Desert of present-day southern Arizona, communities were practicing agriculture by 2100 BC and began digging uh, irrigation canals as early as 1250 BC. The earliest evidence of corn in the area dates from 2000 BC, introduced by trade and migration between north and south. Traditionally, ancient, ancient people have flourished and in drier climates where the centralized management of water resources through irrigation and hydraulic agriculture techniques form the basics of society. Staples such as cereal, wheat, rice, millet, and barley in Afro-Eurasia adapted to local environments that humans could domesticate. However, corn, on the other hand, is a wild grain from which it has been cultivated, yet it has never been identified with certainty, but indigenous people believe that corn was a sacred gift from the gods. Its unique invention of the original American agriculturalist, unlike most grains, corn, a summer crop, cannot grow wild without attentive human care, nor survive past 20 to 30 days without water. Experts have observed that such population densities in pre-colonial America was supportable because the people had created a relatively disease-free paradise. There were certainly diseases and health problems, but the practice of herbal medicine and even surgery and dentistry, but most importantly, bath hygienic, ritual, and sweat baths kept diseases at bay. Native people washed daily before they dressed, even from early infancy. Above all, the majority of the indigenous of the Americas had a healthy vegetarian diet, mostly based on corn, wild fish, fowl, chicken, and four-legged animals. The demographics consisted of a population of 40 million people in North America and Mexico. Mexico alone, or Central Mexico alone, supported some 30 million people. Approximately 30 million Mesoamerican indigenous people still occupy most, if not all, of the Americas. For instance, descendants of the Mayans still inhabit much of the lands now referred to as Yucatan, Mexico. Still intact are small ancient cities and ruins, such as Chichen Itza Pyramid, and corn still remains one of their main staple as well as beans, avocado, potatoes, and chocolate. Potatoes or encore. 65,000 turquoise artifacts in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, are evidence of the importance of turquoise as a major pre-colonial commodity. Major cultural, science, governmental, and economic practices were influential throughout the region. The Mayans were great cultivators of corn using advanced hydraulic agriculture. They built cities, city-states, pyramids, and religious temples such as the Chichen Itza, Mayapan, and Uxmal. They developed the concept of the zero independently as a natural number. They also invented the calendar as an extensive dating system, making possible both observations of the cosmos that mark the passage of time into the future with extreme accuracy. It is also used to predict eclipses and other events by the movement of planets and the moon. They discovered the use of chocolate for drinks, rubber to create rubber balls, and now it's used, or well, it used to be used in their societies in court games that have now developed or evolved into what is our modern society today calls it soccer. Their economic basis for the powerful Aztec state was hydraulic agriculture. They also used floating gardens in the 1300 to 1400s to grow crops. With corn as a central crop, beans, pumpkins, potatoes, cocoa crops, as well as tobacco and cotton, flourished and supported a dense population, mostly in large urban cities and centers. Cotton provided fiber for all clothes and clothing. Weaving and metalwork flourished. Building techniques enabled construction of enormous stone dams and canals, as well as fortress-like castles made of brick and stone. There were elaborate markets in each city and far-flung trade networks that used routes established by the Toltecs. The Aztecs merchant acquired turquoise from pueblos who mined it to sell in central Mexico, where the stone became the most valuable of all material possessions and used as means of exchange and a form of money. Now let's draw a comparison between Europe, the Europeans, or the Eurasia and the Mesoamericans. In 1426, the Aztecs formed an alliance with two other tribes. They then proceeded to wage war against neighboring people to gain control over the Valley of Mexico. The Aztecs moved to bring all the people of Mexico under their tributary authority. This event paralleled ones in Europe and Asia during the same period, when Rome and other city-states were demolished and occupied by invading Germanic people, while the Mongols of Eurasian steppe overran much of Russia and China. As in Europe and Asia, the invading peoples assimilated and reproduced civilization. By the time the European invasions, indigenous people had occupied and shaped every part of the Americas, established extensive trade networks and roads, and they were sustaining the population by adapting to specific natural environments, but they also adapted nature to suit human ends. Indigenous people used to use fire to shape and tame the pre-colonial North American landscape. Native people left an indelible imprint on the land with systems of roads that tie nations and communities together across the entire landmass of the Americas. Diplomatic skills as well as trade were highly developed and used for conflict resolution. Now, based on the video that we watched before Columbus, we see the indigenous people were very kind to Christopher Columbus' crew the first time they arrived in Mesoamerica. However, subsequent trips from Christopher Columbus, weren't the same. They actually mistreated indigenous people, and they long persecuted and killed them during subsequent trips to Mesoamerica. Now that happened about 500 or 600 years ago. However, the persecution of the indigenous people of the last 500, 600 years has recently been met with resistance from the jungles of the Amazons to the cities of North America. The Sioux tribe of South Dakota, United States, continue to occupy the Black Hills of the Dakotas, despite continued harassment from the U.S. government. In addition, confrontations with the Canadian State Police against the Mohawk Creeks and Kanawaki warriors continue in Quebec and Montreal because of land right disputes. Now I'm going to share my screen here so you can see the map. This is for the Mayans. The city here called Teotihuacan, capital city, in what is called now the Yucatan. And just to show you what the Yucatan is now. I'm going to show you my screen froze. Let's try this again. There we go. And right around here, you have the Yucatan and some of the areas where the Aztecs used to occupy right here, what is now the Arizonas. And that is all for tonight, folks.